Don't listen to this alone in the dark. I wasn't supposed to still be there that late, but the overnight guy called out, and my manager asked if I could stay until morning. It's a 24-hour self-storage facility, so the gate stays open for customers with access codes. But after midnight, the office shuts down, and it usually goes completely quiet. I had done one overnight before, and nothing happened. Just paperwork and camera checks, so I said yes. Around that time, I was sitting behind the desk going through the logbook, matching unit numbers with the gate entries, while the camera monitor showed all the hallways and rows of storage units. Everything looked normal, no movement anywhere, just empty concrete floors and rows of metal doors under those long strip lights. The first sound came from the indoor hallway behind the office. It was a single thump, not loud, but solid enough that I felt it more than heard it. I stopped writing and just listened, holding my breath. Sometimes people come in late to move things around, so I told myself it was probably that. I stood up and stepped out of the office doorway, letting the motion lights in the hallway click on ahead of me one section at a time. The air felt colder out there, and it had that dry smell of dust and cardboard that never really leaves those places. I leaned forward slightly and said, "Hello?" But the sound of my voice didn't carry. It just died in the hallway, like the space swallowed it. I waited a few seconds, expecting someone to answer, or at least make another noise, but nothing came back. I checked the small wall monitor just outside the office that shows a live feed of that hallway from above. It was empty, except for me. No one walking, no doors open, nothing out of place. I started walking forward anyway, slow, listening harder with every step. That's when I heard it again, but this time it wasn't a thump. It was a dragging sound, low and heavy, like something being pulled across a concrete floor. It came from deeper down the hallway, past the next row of units. I stopped immediately and said, "If someone's here, the office is closed," and the dragging sound stopped the second I finished speaking, not fading out, not slowing down, just stopping like it heard me and decided to. That's when it started to feel wrong. I looked down both sides of the hallway at the rows of storage doors, all of them shut and locked, numbers stenciled above each one. Everything looked exactly how it should. Then the dragging sound started again, but closer now, and I could tell it was coming from inside one of the units. I moved toward the sound, slow, trying to pinpoint which door it was behind, and it led me to one on the left side, labeled B17. I crouched slightly and leaned closer to the metal, listening through it, and I could hear something shifting inside, slow, heavy, deliberate. I reached out and touched the door and felt how cold it was. Then I checked the lock. It was still secured from the outside. I tried to keep my voice steady and said, "You okay in there?" And the moment the words left my mouth, something inside the unit hit the door hard enough to make the metal jump under my hand. I jerked back and stumbled into the opposite wall, my heart hitting so hard it felt like it knocked the air out of me. There was no way someone should have been able to hit that door from inside. It wasn't a knock. It wasn't someone asking for help. It felt like something pressed against it with weight, with force, then held there. I could see the metal pushing outward slightly, like something inside was leaning into it. I backed away slowly, not taking my eyes off it, whispering, "No." And just as suddenly as it started, the pressure stopped. The door went still again. No movement, no sound. I stood there breathing hard, staring at the lock, trying to make sense of it. The lock was still in place, untouched. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the master key ring, my hands shaking while I tried to convince myself maybe someone had gotten trapped inside earlier somehow. I stepped forward again and said, "I'm opening it, okay?" But there was no response, not even a sound this time. I unlocked the latch and slowly lifted the roll-up door. The metal rattled as it moved, and the inside of the unit was completely dark. I could just make out the shapes of stacked boxes, a mattress leaning against the wall, a couple of plastic bins. Nothing moving. Nothing that should have made that sound. I stood there for a second, then said, "Hello?" and stepped inside. The air felt thick the moment I crossed the threshold, like it hadn't moved in a long time. I took a few steps in, scanning the corners, trying to see anything out of place, but everything looked normal. Then behind me, the hallway light flickered and went out, and before I could turn fully around, the door slammed shut. The sound hit so hard it echoed in the unit, and I was thrown into complete darkness. I rushed back and grabbed the handle, trying to force it open, but it didn't move. It felt locked again from the outside. I shouted, "Hey, open the door!" But my voice just bounced back at me, trapped in that space. I pulled at the door again and again, but it wouldn't budge. That's when I heard it behind me. A low sound, close, not loud but deep enough that I felt it in my chest. I froze, my hand still on the door, and slowly turned around. At first I couldn't see anything, just darkness, but then something shifted in the middle of the unit. It was low to the ground, stretched out longer than it should have been, its shape wrong in a way I couldn't fully process. It moved slightly, and I heard the sound again. I backed into the door, pressing myself against it, whispering, "Please." But it didn't react to the word, only to me. It moved closer, slow and controlled, like it wasn't in any rush. As it shifted, I could make out more of it. Limbs that bent at angles that didn't look right, a body that seemed to stretch and compress at the same time, and a head that tilted as if it was studying me. It had been in there before I opened the door. It had been waiting. Then it made a sound that didn't belong to it. It spoke in my voice. "Hello?" The exact way I had said it in the hallway. My tone, my pace. It said it again, repeating me perfectly. "You okay in there?" I felt my stomach drop as I realized it wasn't just hearing me. It was copying me. I shook my head and said, "Stop." But it didn't stop. It shifted again, then slowly stood up. Its body pressed against the ceiling, bending in ways that didn't make sense, like it was forcing itself into a shape it wasn't meant to hold. I heard something inside it moving, sliding, like joints adjusting under pressure. It took a step toward me, and I realized I couldn't breathe the same way anymore, like the air in the unit was being pulled toward it. That's when I noticed the door behind me wasn't resisting anymore. I could feel it give slightly when I pushed. I didn't look away from the thing as I reached back and pressed harder, lifting the door just enough for a strip of hallway light to cut into the darkness. I didn't wait. I ducked under it and ran. I ran down the hallway as fast as I could, the lights flickering on and off around me as I passed, my footsteps too loud in that empty space. I didn't hear anything chasing me, no footsteps, no dragging, nothing at all. And that somehow felt worse. I made it back to the office, slammed the door shut, locked it, and went straight to the camera monitor. My hands were shaking so bad, I had to steady myself on the desk just to focus. I pulled up the hallway feed and saw the door to B17 standing open, the inside completely dark. Nothing moving, no shape, no sign of anything being there. I stared at it, trying to slow my breathing, trying to convince myself I was losing it, that I imagined it. Then the camera glitched for a second, just a flicker, and when the image came back, the door to B17 was closed and locked again. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to understand how it could have closed without anyone there. And that's when I saw it, standing in the hallway outside the office door. It wasn't there before the glitch. It hadn't walked down the hall. It was just there now, tall, still, facing the camera. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. It just stood there like it knew I was watching. I slowly turned my head toward the actual office door, and right as I did, the handle began to move from the outside, slow and steady, like something on the other side was taking its time. If you're listening to this, then you need to understand something. That unit was locked when I found it, and there are no records for it, no renter, no reason for anyone to ever open it. But something was already inside, waiting for someone to let it out. And once it sees you, once it hears you, it learns you, and it doesn't need to walk to get close to you. It just needs a door and a moment. So if you ever hear something moving behind a locked space that shouldn't have anything inside it, don't check, don't open it, because it might already be standing closer than you think. If you have a horror story of your own, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. You never know, the next story could be yours. Subscribe to the Vault so you don't miss what comes next.